everyone, I'd like to make a big shout out to MWR Navy Entertainment and Navy Exchange for giving me and the entire Messlords family an opportunity to say thank you for all you've done and continue to do to serve our country. We are in some crazy times right now. You probably don't seem all that crazy or different to you because I know that you're no stranger to sacrifice, and for that I am forever grateful. So as a small token of my thanks, I thought I'd send you a video on how to keep your knives in tip-top shape and a few knife skills to make slicing and dicing a little bit easier and more fun. Let's get started. So this is a whetstone. It's what we use to put it in water. This has two sides. It has 1,000 grit, which you would have it up like this and use the sides of the stone. This is really what's going to do some of the main sharpening of your blade. And then this is a 6,000 grit. You would turn it over, and this is what you use to really fine polish your blade and really take out any tiny little nicks that could possibly be in your blade. First thing you want to do with your stone is you want to soak it in water. In this case, since it's a Waterstone, there are oil stones out there, so it's a preference. You would not soak that in water. You would just use this and put oil on top. Again, that's a preference. I always use a Waterstone. But you will want to soak this in water until all the bubbles stop. That means the stone has soaked all the way through to its core and is totally soaked enough with water, and that's basically the lubricant when you're sharpening your knife on the stone. So we're going to pop this in water. As you can see, the bubbles have stopped now, so this is fully hydrated stone. And we're going to take this out. We're going to start on the 1,000 grit side first. This particular stone has a convenient little rubber base that typically keeps it all nice and steady. See that? And I'll leave this water here too, just in case I need to add a little bit more. So, has anybody ever heard of the Iron Chef Morimoto? I always did my knives on the stone, but it was just all a matter of getting accustomed to the angle. So I had him teach my crew when I was at the chef at the American restaurant, and he came up with this great trick that was great as a learning tool on how to do the right angle for your knife. You take a Sharpie marker, and you run it along the side of your knife. So there you can see where your blade, you can see exactly your blade. All right. Now, did you hear that? Look, listen to this. My blade is all raggedy right there, so this knife desperately needs to be sharpened. So we're going to start with a knife like this. So we have our Sharpie mark. Make sure that this is nice and wet here. And you're going to focus on one particular part of the blade at a time. So the Sharpie marker is there, for instance, to go like this. So if I go like this, I turn it over, you see the Sharpie marker is still there. I didn't get the right angle. So then I go back. This is what teaches you the right angle of your knife. So now I'm going back. See, the Sharpie marker is gone now, right across there. So you're going to work on your knife in little areas, focusing, and maybe go back and forth 10, 20 times. And then you're going to move down, and I'm going to focus on this part of the blade. And when I'm doing this, I want to move it all over the stone. Okay, so see how there's no Sharpie marker there, but there's still Sharpie all down here because I'm just focusing on this part of the blade. And then when you're doing this, you want to make sure you go all over the stone. That way your stone doesn't warp in one spot. A lot of places just go like this. And then they have this stone that's warped like this, and then it's difficult to sharpen your knife like that. You want a nice flat surface. Again, check. No Sharpie marker there. We have to spend extra time there. Still have some Sharpie down there. Otherwise it looks good, but I'm going to run through that all again. Something to note, I've done several tours in Japan at Yokosuka and Okinawa, so you might want to, many of you may have purchased knives, Japanese knives, which are amazing and beautiful and absolute works of art, but those knives, a lot of them only have a blade on one side, so make sure you're only using the stone on that one side. You don't need to make a blade on the other side, that does not exist. So. Okay, so you would do that on both sides. But we're going to now move this stone and flip it over. And now use this super smooth stone. Same thing, focus in one area, move it all over the stone. Still see a little Sharpie down here. So that's one side. You would do that to both sides of your knife, so that you would do the same thing. Mark it. Same thing, I can feel it drop right here. So then, go ahead and do that on the other side. So now that we're done putting our knife on the stone, the next tool that you want to use is the steel. So we have three kinds of steels here. This one here is a traditional steel. You know, that's just old school. This is a diamond plate steel, which has seen its day. Probably could use a new one now. And this is a ceramic steel. I know it's ceramic steel, it sounds funny, but that's just what we call it. So be careful with these. If you ever get a ceramic steel and you drop it on the floor, it will shatter because it's ceramic. This particular knife, your knife will get used to whatever steel you're used to. So this particular knife, I know, likes this steel. I don't know why, it just becomes accustomed to it. I've had knives in the past that all I ever used was a ceramic steel, but this one, I've just gotten them all used to old school. So you're using the same angle as we did, which is about 10-degree angle on the stone. You're going to do on the steel. You're going to alternate one like this. It's kind of hard to do this in slow motion, but if we were just to do it, the steel is like one of the most important tools to have if you have knives and you like cooking and you want a sharp knife, because you should use a steel between every task. You dice a bunch of onions, and then you have to dice a bunch of carrots. When you're done dicing the onions, you put it on the steel, like this. And then you go get your carrots, and you do your carrots. When you're done your carrots, put it on the steel again. This saves time, so then you don't have to invest all the time putting your knife on the stone all the time. This really hones the blade, keeps it nice and sharp, and you'll have to put your knife on the stone maybe 3 times, 4 times a year, as opposed to, you know, every month, every other week. So use a steel, very important. I'll just demonstrate all of them. And as you can see, this is flat as opposed to round, so you do have to hold this a certain way. And ceramic. And in a pinch, I'll show you another trick that can hone. In a pinch, I've done it in kitchens, maybe in some of the kitchens while I was cooking for you guys, but if you need to hone your knife, you can also do this. So in a pinch, another metal surface like that, an edge, you can hone your knife like that too. It can help your knife if you're in a desperate situation. And sometimes we are. So I've been told by a lot of people that learning how to dice and julienne an onion is kind of an invaluable lesson. I still see lots of people that do it all sorts of strange ways. And I'm going to show you how to do each one. Start by cutting the end off. Here. Take this top layer off. And that extra little papery skin, as you see that here, if you have that on there, wipe that off, because that could make your blade slip and you don't want to cut your finger. So make sure that that's off if that is there. So when dicing, you'll want to make sure that you keep this root end on, because this is kind of acting as a handle, an extra insurance, and you only have to leave a little bit right here at the end. So you're going to start by going like this, depending on how small or large you want it. Do these cuts first. Okay, then you go like this. See how neatly that stays together? Now if you were to do that the other way, do this side first and then like this, all these go like that, and then it's really hard to keep it all together. Diced. See? That was fast. And then you just have this handy little handle. That's a dice. Then a julienne. You would actually cut off this other end. Okay, peel this off. That's there. Make sure that's wiped off. Definitely don't want that to slip. Now you always want to cut against the grain. So see how the onion goes like that? Our knife will end up going around like this. That's how we're going to do it. So our first cut's down here. See how I'm staying against, so we get those nice, perfect things. I'll show you down here, if I were to keep cutting straight, what those pieces would end up looking like. Still look great. I'm going against them. So here, if we were to do this on this side, going straight up and down, instead of curving around, see what those pieces look like? See how that's different? These are all even, and if you were to just stay up and down like that, eventually you get to the point where they look good, but not the same. So there you go. That's julienning an onion. If you want a recipe for pickled red onions, you would cut them this way. I can send you those. I get rid of that root center. They're so pretty. There you go. So we're done the onions. We're going to put our knife on the steel before we do the carrots. Really, this is all it takes. Just doing this 20 times. Okay, we're gonna julienne a carrot. I've already peeled it. Cut them in sections like that. One for yourself. Eat your veggies. Okay, we're gonna start like this. So, if you've never done this, you want to hold your knuckles like this. That gives you a guide. If you get to a certain point, I usually just eat the ends personally. Or you can put it in veg stock and save them. Alright. Then you want to stack them. Do that rounded end by itself. So that's a julienne of carrot. And then if you want to do a brunoise, it's a classic French term for a very, very small dice. You do that. Spin it. How pretty those are. There you go. Skills. That's what you want to work on. So one of the most important things about knife skills is how to hold the knife. So you really want to hold your knife all the way up. You want to hold the blade between your fingers like this. And then the other most important thing is however you cut your food. If you're filleting a fish, if you're julienning carrots, you want to make it so your wrist stays nice and straight. If you have to go like this to cut something or fillet something, you don't want to do it this way. You would turn your knife and do it this way. So say you're slicing something meat on a bias after you've grilled out. However, so it's carrot. See, just like when we were doing this, I've got total control of the knife because I'm holding it here. My wrist is staying straight. Well, not right now because I'm lifting it up to show you, but you want to keep that all in line. And that will make cooking and doing all this knife work not uncomfortable and not tiring. The only exception is when maybe you're skinning a fish. I change the angle of the knife and hold it like this, and I skin it like that. Because it's kind of hard to hold it one way. If you do it, I say, and then always keep it in line, it would be harder to skin a fish like this, obviously. So that's probably the only exception, is when you're skinning a fish like that. That's when you can change the angle of your knife. But otherwise, you want to hold the knife like this and always keep this in one straight line.